Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone today? A bit of a sound check before we start. In the chat, we are streaming today on the Max on YouTube channel and the Max on Training Team YouTube channel. And it's Noseman and friends. Where are my friends? No friends here. Rohan, Ahmed, how are you today? Nia, Naya? Yeah, what pronunciation? So, Sharon, how are things down in the south? Good. So, I hope summer has come for everyone. And yeah, let's start with the housekeeping. Let me just do this. You should be seeing the usual screen. And let's quickly go through, and I'm going to do copy and pasting. Again, I'm producing alone today, so mistakes will happen on purpose and by chance. And I need to find the comments and I need to start posting. If you want to ask a question and check out the upcoming shows, go to this link and you have this convenient form. And at the same time, there's something you can do to save you on typing. You can take a screen grab of this QR code. That will take you to the page I just linked. So make sure you take a screen grab or use your phones or, I don't know, just memorize all the squares and recreate it in MoGraph or using polygon selections. So let's hide this, go back to the comments and move on. For all the Maxon events, you go to the Maxon events page, and I'm going to paste this. I'm not going to post it, I'm going to paste it. And here you can find stuff based on region, dates, and titles and content and all that. So all the cool stuff, this is where you need to start. Now, all these videos are being hosted after being shown live. You will find the recordings with all the timestamps and comments courtesy of Dr. Sassy. Thank you very much, Dr. Sassy, for doing this for that for us. But you can watch them live both on the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel and the Maxon YouTube channel. Don't forget to learn the magnificent Maxon ZBrush if you have an artistic flair, something I do not have, but I'm good at solving problems. Now, we do have for you, and I didn't post the links. Let me quickly, although these are easy links to remember, I'm going to post them in just for the sake of completeness. Let's go. And of course, the Maxon ZBrush channel. And let's paste this here. Excellent. Now, go to this page here, and once a month, you can get a t-shirt. And as far as I remember, the code for this month is, drumroll, I think it's Particle Magic. You should see it there, Particle Magic. One word, all caps. Right, got a screenshot. Excellent. And what else do we have here? Let's go back to the comments. And don't forget to go to the Olds University to watch thousands of tutorials of all the technologies we have. And although the interface may be outdated, the information is mostly relevant. And of course, the News University channel that has all the new shiny stuff and also hosts a lot of the demystifying post-production shows and the quick tips and stuff like that. By the way, for anyone paying attention, I have been doing quick tips on the Maxon YouTube training channel related to particles. So go here and we've got playlists. And one of these playlists is the quick tips, Cinema 4D quick tips, Redshift, ZBrush, Maximum Color. Where's my Cinema 4D quick tips? Oh, look at my face. Look at me in my old office. So somewhere around here we'll find them. And yeah, that's all I have for the housekeeping. So I think it's good time now. Ooh, we managed to do it in less than 5 minutes and start going through some questions. Now, for the record, please preface a question with capitalized question so that I can distinguish it from general compliments and nice words and all that. And I have a list of stuff I want to show. So let me bring down this window. I'm talking to myself, so I know what I need to do here, and bring up my screen. And I'll get rid of myself here if I'm in the way. So we have a huge list of questions that have come in. And I'm going to go through a few of them to begin with until some of your uh, questions come in. So let me start copying here. And I have the ability to, and let me just remove some older comments. Okay. And I have to do something to create something. So there you go. I have a banner. This is going to have a quick answer. Do you guys have any tutorial series for a full cover on scene nodes in Cinema 4D? We do not. We do not have a tutorial that covers everything. You will find in the Old University a series I did for November that covers certain things, but many things have changed since. Don't forget, Nodes is still in a really a quick evolutionary state. It's still being actively developed. And if you want to check some other things, I've done some videos on my own YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and look for at Noseman. And when there's something available, we will let you know. But for now, we feel that there are so many things within the classic Cinema 4D ecosystem, and it makes little sense to get into more technical stuff when the stuff we show and the stuff that we already do in Cinema 4D cover the vast majority, if not all, of our users. So let me go and get another question. And okay, this is an interesting one. And let me just paste it here, add the banner, and show it. So is it possible to bind a simulated cloth made by a generator, such as spline and so forth, with a cloth belt and so forth? I'm going to show you what this means and what the answer is. So we can't use the belt. So in this scene, I'm going to create a plane. And let me show the lines here and just increase this to 30 and 30. My microphone is in the way. There's always something in the way, isn't there? And usually what happens is for mesh objects, you create a belt, a cloth belt, and this can confine specific points. The new way that supersedes the cloth belt is to use a connector tag. Now, the connector tag requires, just like the old system, something to tie it on. And what I'm going to do is get this little cube here, move it here to the side, make it approximately, you can hide it later on. You just put this here probably as a, I would say, placeholder. And let's add some segments. Oops, not that way. All this way. Why not this way? It's always the last way. Just going to do this and sort of make it a bit thinner. It doesn't really matter. It will tie to the polygons anyway. Now, the connector tag, in order to create the connections, if I go update live, create and update live, nothing is going to happen regardless how big the search radius is. This needs to be a cloth object. So if you right click and make it into a cloth, you can go now to the connector tag and you can make your connections. You just need to make this big enough. Oh yeah, I haven't made this a cloth. Huh. That was cool, wasn't it? So let's do this again. Let's just go here and create this and just make these big enough so they tie to this object over here. And I'm not seeing any connections happening. What is wrong? Oh yeah, live update. That was what was wrong. I keep clicking buttons and I forget. There you go. So these yellow little lines define which points of this object connect to which points of this object. And basically, this is the distance it's going to search around to find other cloth objects. Now, of course, this is going to fail initially. Everything is going to fall down. That's because this is still an object that's affected by simulation. And if you want to tie it down, you just go here and you activate the mix animation with nothing selected. So essentially, it's not going to be affected. And this is it. This is the equivalent of using the belt. There's absolutely no reason to use the belt when you can use this because the functionality has 100% crossover as far as I know. If there is a particular situation in which you find that this doesn't perform like the belt, I'd like you to contact me on Twitter. And here is my handle and Jonas's handle. Jonas is out of the office these days, enjoying some downtime. He's been working very, very hard lately. Hi, Jonas. How are you? And just hit me up on Twitter, send me a DM, and always, always, always attach a file, but a simplified file. I don't want lights. I don't want any cameras. I don't want any materials. If this is what you're looking for, just put the two objects and their tags, and that's the file. I'd like you to link and use a reputable downloads or something like that. A WeTransfer or Dropbox or something like that. Don't send weird trimmed addresses and all that, because I do not open those files. Anything that I can't identify that the link leads to a Cinema 4D file, I will not open. And that's for security reasons. And I advise you do the same thing as I. Okay, so this is the binding simulation thingy-madoodle. Okay, let's test this one. So again, let me go and copy all this. I don't know if it's going to fit in a banner. We're going to put as much as we can. So let's see what this says. In the new C4D particle system, I added an emitter, helix spline, and a force field. I've set the force field to velocity, set absolute velocity, and whatnot. And the question basically is that the particles fly away. If this is your setup, they shouldn't fly away. So let's, for the record, go and test this and see what happens. Now, this is for someone else. I have a special surprise today. It's not this. It's not this. It is this. So here I have, and this is part of a little presentation I want to show as an extension. So let's quickly go and do the pure setup. So here's a spline. And what the particular user, I don't have names, so whoever asked the question, thank you very much for doing that. And let's go and emit some particles using the spline emitter. And let's, I don't know, add some thickness. I'm going to add a thickness of 10 and variance of 10. So it's going to create some sort of volumetric emission. Good. I'm going to shoot my favorite number, 10,000 particles, and go to the properties and just set this to 0. So we don't have any motion. There you go. So we have this point cloud now made of little particles. And we want them to move around this shape. And the way to do that is to go, as the user mentioned, get a field force, put the flower in the field force. And I'm going to set to absolute velocity. Now, let's see what that means, absolute velocity, and how this is created. The visibility is based on a cube you can find in the display. So, excuse me, I want to make sure that these little lines, these little directional vectors, are confined close to the spline. So I don't need it to be that thick, but I do want it to be taller and wider. So taller and wider. And this is just for visibility's sake. And you can do this. So you're getting a good view on what kind of vectors this is generating here. Okay. Now, if for any reason they disappear, that's because you're too close. But you can see that their length changes. Why is that happening? Well, this is happening, and make sure you drop your directional splines in the Object tab, not the fields, which is the masking component of this. This will, for anyone that doesn't know, just mask whatever is generated, that field force thingy-madoodle. So let's get rid of this and get rid of that. Now, if you go to the field force object and you select this, here it says direction. It's a bit misleading, but in the direction, it says for the length, so how much power this little arrow, imagine each arrow being a mini fan that's blowing in that direction, but very, very small, like a little line. And it will force the particles to go whenever they are close to it. And the proximity is defined by, where's the proximity? I think it's a per segment thing. No, that's wrong. But anyhow, it tries to follow the direction the spline is going. These things are trying to follow that direction. Now, if you go to the direction here, The value is making them very powerful at the beginning of the spline. The spline starts from here and winds this way, clockwise. But if you change this to normalize, then they're all going to be the same. This is the essence of the normalize. And the default way, the along, just follows these shapes along the spline. See all these little, it's like those wind weather patterns you see on TV. So this is what this is doing, is showing you the direction these little arrows, these little fans are going. So we've set it now so that these are going to blow up particles in these directions. So let's make this invisible. And providing that we've set this to set absolute velocity, that means that they will only move in that direction, regardless of the speed. Now, they are getting some centrifugal force because of the extremely high speed. And, well, it's not even centrifugal force, sorry, because we don't have mass on the particles. But because they're moving in a certain direction, have a certain velocity, it's a bit hard for them to stay in here. There are certain ways you can sort of mitigate this, and especially if you have something like add velocity, because then it doesn't set them to an absolute velocity. Um, the change direction is going to force them to keep their velocities and just change their direction. So let's try in the spline emitter to introduce some speed. You can see tremendously high speeds are going to make them move out of this because of the blend. I think this can be mitigated. I'm not absolutely certain, but I think you can mitigate it. I'm going to do an experiment. Go to particles and increase your, let's make this 20 and see if that's going to make a difference. Not really. So I guess the problem is that, but with extremely high speeds, you are going to get the particles to sort of fly out unless you use another force that drags them in. Let's do a little experiment. I'm not, excuse me, absolutely sure this is going to work, but maybe it will. Let me think about this. Can we add the same flower in here and make them point towards the center of the spline? Ooh, these are powerful lines. The force is strong with these lines. So let's get the flower and put it here. I'm going to turn this off. But this, I'm actually going to set the direction to be normalized, no problem. But instead of along, I'm going to say radius. So now they're pointing towards the center, and you can sort of change the amount of the effect that this should have. But I would assume that they're pointing towards the spline. That's radius? They are pointing towards, there you go. You can see here where they're pointing that way. Now let's see what the effect is going to be if we, let's go now with 500 and turn this off because and let's get, all right. So is this attracting them? It is attracting them towards the center, I would say. Maybe we can bring them in by balancing this out and see how fast we can go. In any case, not to drag this along too much, but it appears that your best solution in this particular case is, of course, either to sort of minimize the strength a bit, maybe add some sort of friction outside. I'm just trying to think in real time now. So we can create a friction that only applies friction when these sort of leave this, and that will slow them down when they're outside and they're going to return back, something like that. But insofar as the particular question, I'd like you to send me a simplified scene just like this with the values you want, and tell me what you want the expected thing to be when they're going, if you want them to go around. But at the end of the day, um, if if you want the particles to stay absolutely on the spline, and I'm going to offer something different now of a solution without particles, just to to capture your imagination. Get any object you want and set the cloner, let's say, to multi-instance, so it's faster, and to object, just in case you didn't know this. And let's add a lot of these and make sure the spline has a uniform subdivision. The cloner has this rate. So you can see the cubes are moving. I can go here and add A from the MoGraph. This is the MoGraph. Let's go to random effector and let's randomize not their position, but their scale. So uniform scale, let's randomize the position. And you can see that they will stick to this. And I think that in the random effector, if you set this to indexed, each cube is going to retain its scale as it goes around or not. Is it synchronized? No, it's not synchronized. It's sorted. Oh my Lord. There you go. I would assume something like that is sorted, even if it doesn't work. So you can do this, and they are moving perfectly on the spline. Now let me go to the comments and see what's going on there. But these would be various methods to do something similar, even without particles. And I think that you can push this, right? Let's see what we can do. How many? 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 6,000, 9,000. So we're up to 15,000, 17,000 clones. And it's still going at, decent speed. So you do have the ability to use a lot of clones if that can solve your problem. Anyhow, let's get rid of this. Now, let's go and see. Let's go and check the questions. Got all my links here. Links. Is it made some sort of capsule? Can you where is it? I lost the question. Gotta be kidding me. Where did it go? Sorry about that. I clicked on a question and it appeared to disappear. Let me check it again. And I can't find it. Okay, whatever. Let's go to the next one here and answer. What is the best way to bake a vertex map animation? That will be Alembic. And I do have an example because I was asked a question that includes this. So let me quickly tag another question. Oh, I found it. Here it is. Is it made with some sort of capsule? I don't know what you're talking about. If you can elaborate, that will be great. So let's talk about baking. Now, first of all, what the effect we want here is the following. What you see here is a cached Alembic file. It was a cloth. I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. So a cached Alembic file. And this Alembic file also has an animated vertex map. What you see here is the animated vertex map. And again, I'm going to show you how to do this. There's a very particular way you can use this animated baked vertex map to apply it to a deformer, which is what we're doing here. It's just deforming these points, and in the plane vector we have the vertex map, and then you can do all sorts of stuff and add a delay, add a decay, and make it bubbly and all that. Okay, let's go and do that. So our usual suspects, the plane. Let's go 50 by 50. And let's go to our simulation scene, get rid of gravity because it messes things up. And let's go and add a turbulence. And we should see this bobbing around if we go and add a cloth. And the reason I'm using a cloth, it's a very easy animation to do. There you go. So we have this cloth. At the same time, what I want to do is go to and add a vertex map. I want a sphere. And I want this sphere, this spherical field. I'm just going to animate it. So I'm going to put it here from this side. And at frame 0, let's add some keyframes and go here and put it on the other side. So it's going to do a lateral move while that thing is bobbing up and down. Excellent. So we have now a simulated mesh and an animated vertex map. Great. So maybe I can increase this a bit. Good. let's go and cache it. All you have to do is just select this, right-click, and do a bake as Alembic. And here are my Alembic files. Go here and select folder and whatnot. Now, what I can do here is say, I don't want anything else. That's it. I've got my Vertex map. That's how you bake it, basically. So this is answer number one. How do you bake a Vertex map? And this is how you do it. You just cache it in an Alembic file. Now, let's attempt, it's not going to work, to get a plane effector. Set it to be a point deformer and deform the points upwards, right? They all go upwards. Great, everything works as expected. Now you want to confine this to this vertex map, and it don't work, right? It just doesn't work. You can see it, but it doesn't work. And the reason is, when we read an Alembic, it's a purely procedural file, and this combination won't work. You need to press one button. You select the plane and you press C to make it editable, or this button here. Now, it would appear a bit counterintuitive, but it's not. When you make it editable, what it does, it generates a normal mesh object that can react to deformers and all that, and adds the Alembic data in this little tag. So now all the data is still, I mean, this is a normal object which you can do selections on and apply materials and all that. And yet its geometry is driven by this tag over here. And the same applies for this. So now you have to reapply this and it works. So that is the secret. The secret sauce is making your Alembic editable, which will convert it into a mesh object and apply the tag. Beware though, right? I need to show my face to do that. Beware though, it only works with Alembics that have the red icon. So if I go back a few undos, look at this. This is white, it's fine. If it's red, that means you can't interpolate it. This means the following, that the object constantly has the same number of points. Because if that's not the case, then the Alembic tag won't be able. It's a requirement that it needs to have a constant polygon count. There are many techniques to do that. But yeah, this is the answer to both those questions. And that's how you apply the deformer when you make it editable. Good. Let me close this and check the... Okay. So Rohan is asking, I'm really new to Cinema 4D. Will this be good for me? The fact that you're hanging out with us is good. It's good for the soul. So it is good for you. And everyone's going to learn something. Now, how new you are, just go to Cineversity, check out the Getting Started series and all that. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of tutorials on Cinema 4D. So you will find a way forwards and hang out with us. You will learn things. Okay. The answer to this question, do you have a scene node video on your channel, your own channel? I do on my YouTube channel, but it's I did one. I wanted to start months ago doing some, but for reasons I didn't. There is stuff there as well, and I think I spent an hour and a half or 2 hours doing a live show with that. Okay, let's see this. I don't know the answer here. Let's see. I'm generating UVW coordinates with a texture on a cube projection. How can I UV pack the islands maintaining the size that I already got for my cube projection? I think there's a button for that, isn't there? So we have a cube, make it editable. Let's go to my UV edit. Let's see what we've got here. And this is a cubic projection, which just overlays them. Now, you can't have the same size because if each of your UVW tiles takes up, UVW polygons takes up the whole tile, you don't have room. But when you pack them, if you go to UV packing, you can undo not a rasterized. I think you will do a geometric. That'll be the best one. You just equalize the island size. And what this will do is retain the relationship between them. And now you should get all the same. Okay, so equalize island size is going to fit everything in the tile, pack it depending on the method you're using, And at the same time, it will retain the relationship between them. Example, let's say the cube was, let's get this and scale this down. Okay, and let's go and do a projection, a cubic, right? See, this is smaller. And under the same premise I told you before, if you go to UV packing and you equalize island size, it will make all the same, and the ones that are smaller, they're going to stay smaller. Okay, so this would be the method. Okay, let's go to another one. Let's see if this can be answered. Plane is deformed using spline wrap. Is it possible to randomly distribute that plane using another spline deformer across a set of splines and make planes move in? Okay, let's take it a step at a time. Maris. Right. One of the things the spline wrap can do is create clones. Who didn't know that? Go post. Who didn't know that a spline wrap can make clones? I'm looking at the chat. Come on. I have to wait for the YouTube lag as well. In the meantime, let's go and create a spline. It can. Yep, exactly. Oh, come on, Basil. You know that. So it was a trick question, by the way. So I've got a spline, and you can clone the spline, and you can do things with a spline, right? You can just do things. Now, if you put it under a connect object, this is one spline, right? We know that, with many components. Well, what you can do, and this is my favorite method instead of using sweep objects to do stable polygon stuffed tentacles and whatnot. This is the method I use, and I've presented it. Let me get rid of the caps, and let me go here and turn on that. Now I'm going to go and add a spline wrap to the cylinder. And by definition, I think it's plus X. I'm going to put it plus Y. It's the plus Y defines in what direction will the spline go and apply this. And now I'm going to get all these splines and put them in here. There you go. Here are your clones. So in this respect, if you want, first you make your splines, and this will be sort of my answer. So first you make your splines in whatever manner, and then you use a single spline wrap to apply them. If you're looking for something different, DM me on Twitter at Noseman GR, and there you go. And send me a simplified file so we can take a look. Good. So let's close this. Oh, Dances for Peace. I was wondering where you were. Hey neighbor, the way to mass select, delete UV tags. Okay. Is there a way to mass select, delete UV tags? I've got files with geometry in deeply nested hierarchies with wonky UVs. Huh. Okay. Peter, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? So let's make a scene, and let's create a bunch of objects. And let's make copies of these objects. And let's make some copies of these objects, and copies of these objects. How many objects do we have? We don't have enough yet. Only 183. Let's do a few more. And let's do this. Right, we have a bunch of 741 objects in a hierarchy, which you have no idea what's going on. Okay, and you want to delete all the tags. Well, the funnel. Anyone that doesn't know the funnel, I don't know. Look yourselves in the mirror and go, you have to do this. Go. You know what grandmas used to do? Like, right, so do that. And in here, we can select objects by type. So we have 741 polygon objects. If I want to select them all, I just double click on this. Now everything is selected. And it will show you all sorts of different objects. So I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And it will give you how many of these are and how many are selected. So if you double click on this, we have one selected out of one. Good. So you go to tags and you select double click UVW tags. And if you press delete, they will be deleted. Now, one little word of caution. If your mouse is out of the context of the object manager, let's say it's been in the viewport, and you go here and double click on this and you press delete. Oh, it does work. In certain cases, I don't know if they fixed it in other versions, but there was always an issue with the context. If you select an object, I think that was, then double click here, delete. There you go. So if you select an object and then double click on this and go here and press delete, it won't delete. And you will see that the delete button is inactive. It's because for some reason there's a different context on the left side of the object manager and a different one on the right side. Don't ask me why. So all you have to do is go find one of them. And if everything is closed and you can't find them, or this is away, just go here, double click, and then you can press S to go to first selected. It will bring it up. Click it once, just to go in the context of the right side of the object manager, double click and then just delete. We'll delete everything. And you can do that for all sorts of tags. And that's one of the things we also have on the certification test, by the way. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Right, there's a question about alembics and the farm and so forth. I think it's better to contact tech support about this, but yeah, I don't have a farm. These are things that I can learn in theory, but I forget. I'm old, I'm grumpy. So this is something for maximum support to deal with. So David McGee, now you know, right? Acknowledge it. So let's go. I don't know. Yeah, these are the old ones. There you go. Greg, I'm afraid there isn't, as far as I know. Yeah. So, sorry. Oh, the question was, is there a way to wire multiple nodes in the RS node editor at once? I want to connect a value node to offset of a bunch of textures. Again, I don't think that is possible. And Sharon, yeah, we all want that. Yes, we do. Okay, so let's get on to some other little questions because I think I've got some interesting stuff. Okay, reading through my question list. One of them is if we can have particles colliding with each other, but not use flock or something like that. And the answer is no. Our particle-to-particle interactions is limited to let's close this, to these four, blend, flock, and predator prey. Some solution, I mean, you could use particles and MoGraph and follow position. Let's do it. Basic emitter. Let's go here. Sphere. And let's just shoot 100 particles. Boink. Good. And let's go and create a cloner. Let's put it in object mode. Object mode. And use a sphere here. Good. And put this as the object mode. And let's add a rigid body tag. There we go. So they are colliding because it's a rigid body. And if you want to make follow the particles, I mean, they're huge, right? Let me make it smaller. Just make sure you go here and you add a bit of follow position, follow rotation. Just go and eyeball it. And now they will follow the particles, but because of the simulation, they will also collide. So let's go and create some sort of attractor. These can all be adds, like attractor, now with blue legs. There you go. So now we get both the best of both worlds. We get collisions using new RBDs and whatever particle motion is going on here for whatever reason. Anyhow, this would be a workaround for that. Ba-doom. So let's keep going down. About capsules and selection strings. Not now. Have you seen my YouTube video I did on my YouTube channel? It's the last video. I just posted it. I mean, 100 months ago. Check that out. It talks about some of the selection things. And yeah, let's continue here with the questions. There's a question about scattering using copy. Let's go here. Let's paste it in and see. I'm scattering flowers and grass on hills. Very kind of you. I'm using RS Magic Scatter, but I can't see the objects and so forth. And I can't visualize the mesh. Oh, does matrix scatter? Okay, that will be interesting. So where are my objects and matrix scatter? No, it's a matrix. It won't show objects. That is not possible, the matrix scatter. It's just a matrix with a particle tag, essentially. So source objects are visible. Have you tried that? I don't know. I haven't used it, so maybe that source objects visible is supposed to be it, but I can't give you a definite answer. Give it a test. Give it a test. Let me throw away some of these. my answer to your question is try it yourself. That's terrible. Let's see. Let's see. I have okay. I have a surprise for anyone that wants this. So an anonymous user asked me the following question. Add banner and click on the banner. I have many different objects with their own single UV tag, and I want to duplicate each UV tag to the object itself. Now, this is actually an interesting one. It's a very interesting one, and let's tackle it. So I have a bunch of cubes here, and it could be any objects, and they all have these tags. And what the specific user wants to do is grab all these and make copies. So instead of doing drag, copy, well, see, that's one of the things. So drag, copy, deselect, drag, copy, deselect, drag. That's the boring stuff. That's what drives people to throw away their computers. Do not throw away your computers, kids. And here's a trick, right? Pay attention to this. Are you paying attention? How to copy this or any tags for that matter. You contact one of your friends that is a developer at Maxon, and he makes a script for you. So I'm going to provide you all these scripts. So if you go to the script manager, we have these two scripts. One is select objects and duplicate UV tag. So what this is going to do, this script, is you select all the objects you want, and you click on it, and it will make for each object a copy of the UV tag. The other one is select tags and duplicate them. So it's not objects anymore, but you select because maybe an object has a second tag and you don't want them. What happens in that case? Wait a minute. I'm curious. So select objects, execute. So if I execute again, oh, it takes the first one. That was a reason. So the next script we have, the select tags. You select tags, this one, let's say this one and this one, and you press execute and it will create copies of those tags. And I find this fascinating. It's good to be connected. So I will post now in the chat, allow me a second, a Dropbox link. Where's my Dropbox link? Because it was made by someone. These guys are geniuses. And I'm just going to go here, public Dropbox. I'm going to right click and say copy Dropbox link. See, I'm showing you live what I'm doing here. And I'm going to go to the comments. And I'm going to paste this. You can go to that link. It's my public Dropbox. And you can copy Dropbox link and you can use this. Now, because this is a learning live stream, anyone that's inclined to do any code or anything like that, just take a look at the tag. Maybe you learn something because scripts, once you get a bit into Python and understand various things, you can very quickly build a library of very useful things. I used to have a library. I can't be bothered to find it anymore. I'm just too lazy for that. But in any case, hey, Dragoy, what up? And let's see, what other questions do we have? One user asked for retying particles, and I did a quick tip. Ask your questions, and you may be rewarded by a quick tip. Okay, we baked that. Um, Okay, here's a question which I preempted was going to be asked. Again, go to banners, create a new banner, add the banner, click on the button. So is there any workaround where you could transfer the color from particle emission to splines and so forth? And this has been asked a few times. And that's why today we had a quick tip. And the previous one was exactly that. It was, well, you can't use the tracer, but it takes advantage of the fact that when you're rendering a line using Redshift, so if you go to the render tags and the Redshift and you go to curve, for example, well, the curve, you go hair strands, for example, curves are rendered in Redshift using dots. It actually creates little virtual particles. And that's why it has interpolation and sample steps and all that. I don't know, let's make it 2 and see what happens. I don't even know if this is going to work, but who cares? Let's see. No, it's not working that way. But anyway, these are very little itsy bitsy particles. And yeah, oh, it's just the splines. But I guess it's very similar to using optimized spheres. So the technique I'm proposing in that quick tip is to actually use particles for trails. So you create using the reproduce. Go watch the quick tip. I'm babbling on. You can watch a quick tip. I made it for you. All of you, that is. All of you. Let's see what else. I have a goodie for you. Ho, 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 ho. Anyone that wants to make flying pigeons, let me go to the banners. Rinse and repeat. I hate rinse and repeat. All right. Partial question, whatever. I'm going to explain. Is it possible to trigger the animation of an alembic with a MoGraph field or the particle's behavior? Imagine an alembic of a bird taking off. This alembic is scattered on the surface, blah, 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 blah. Fantastic question. I love these questions. So here's what we're going to do here. All right. The scene is ready. I have over here 3 alembics because this is the method you're going to use. And the 3 alembics is a sequence of events. It's this person sitting on a chair and just feeling a bit anxious. The second one is a person getting up from the chair. And the third one is someone crouching. I could have gone with walking, but for some reason, this crouching thing just intrigues me. And the ask here is, let's assume we have an animation. The example would be a pigeon sort of picking on seeds on the road, and then something scares it. And then it does a motion where it sort of crouches and jumps up, and then it starts flying. So these would be 3, just like game engines work, where you have different animation states for crouching and it just blends in between. I'm not going to deal with the blending here. That's not the purpose. So we want to create a situation where we can programmatically or using modifiers make this the equivalent behavior. And let me show you what this looks like. I'm generating sitting people here. And this linear field is going to activate some particles and move them to another group. When they move to another group, they pass on to the next animation. And when that animation finishes, it moves on to this. Now, it's of course steppy because I didn't do anything with transitions, but basically it's fully programmable with the particles. And you can then reverse, make them do something when another field comes through and so forth. So let's quickly recreate this whole thing. So I'm going to grab my 3 alembics and my emitter because I can't click on one button to create an emitter, right? And let's create an original particle group. Switch to my fabulous particle. So this will be the chair, and I'm going to emit in properties the chair, okay? So these are the 3 animations that are playing in some sort of loop. Good. Now, I'm generating a few particles. And as far as the initial generation of the particles, what I want to do, I want them to start being sat down in a chair. So get my cloner, put the chair, the first one here, call it chair. Always name things because you're going to get confused like me. Set this to object and drag this in here. So yeah, with certain rotations and stuff like that, I think it's minus 90, 90, 90 or minus 90, 90, minus 90, yeah, something like that. Because the particles are oriented in the normal direction, blah, blah, blah. Now, we have our people sitting here, and insofar as what they're going to be doing, they're just going to be sort of moving around idly. But I haven't got them looped. You can loop them. You can do all that nice stuff. You can tell this one to loop. Oh, it is looping. Okay. Now, what I want to do is when a specific field, so I'm going to use a field condition. And the field condition is going to use a linear field on this side because the minimum value needs to be there to return false. So when this field condition has been met, when the field goes through, I want these particles to pass on to another group because that group is going to be referencing the other animation, okay? And I'm going to call it standing from chair, the same name. So get another cloner, delete this, name it as the other one, and put the standing from chair here. Turn this on, and make sure in the object you put standing from chair. Now, it won't work yet because we want to switch group when this condition has been met, and go switch group and drag this in. Now, this is not going to work. I'll tell you why. So they are sitting, take this, you move it here, and they immediately get up. They don't do that little motion. And the reason is that by definition, the cloner uses the animation to age. So by the time I decide, I press this, the particles are aging. You can see they're wrinkly and grumpy. By the time I move this here, their age is already a certain age. So this is going to pop up to that particular age. So what I need to do is reset their age just before they switch group. So put the math before the switch group and say assign an age of 0. And this is sort of this is a technique you're going to use very often when you're switching groups and the other group wants to assess the age of this particle, because the particle is not reborn if you switch this group. It's the same particle, the same age. It's like when I moved from Ontario to Quebec, I didn't reset my age. That would have been very uncomfortable. So here, it first resets the age and immediately switches the group. So from the moment they get into this group, their age is 0, which will allow it to start the animation from that moment. So if I take the linear field now and move it here, look at that. Now, the other thing I want you to pay attention to is the following. The next group, when this stands up, after around 35 frames, I think it's 35 frames. Let me start from the beginning. No, it stands up and it's 135. Yeah, you go. 100, let's say 140 frames, 135 frames. They sit down again because that's the loop. So for the second group, what I want to do is tell it, well, I'm done with the field. That was the initial trigger. But now, when you reach that age where your animation ends, then go to the third group. So in this particular case, I'm going to use a normal condition, put it here. I'm going to say for all the particles that have transitioned from the chair group to stand-up group, if the age is greater than 137 or something, I think I remember, then let's do the same thing again. Let's math 0, 0 age. You can name this reset age. I'm not going to do that. And then you can switch group. Make sure that this new group is the standing group. So let's go to particle group and call this crouching, whatever. Copy, paste, switch group to crouching, and make another one of these. Name it crouching and grab the crouching and put it in here and make sure that we are referencing the crouching group. So what should happen here is that the second group is going to get triggered when the animation finishes. So everyone is having a nice time just sitting around doing nothing. suddenly these guys get an urge to go to do something, right? And then they're going to start walking. Ooh, it didn't walk. So what did I do here? Switch group to crouching. Switch group to crouching. Oh, so a big lesson here. When it's got a red cross, it means that it's off. Okay. So, I mean, everyone learned something today. Even I did. So let's do this again. Rewind, press play, time flies. Right? Just sitting around doing nothing. Not my favorite hobby. There you go. Got triggered, this guy, and now it's this guy, get up, and then it's going to start crouching. There you go. And these could be nice seamless animations and all that. So this is how you're going to do it. Just make sure that there is a nice transition between one animation and the other. You can break it up. You can get a single. Oh, you can even, if it's a single animation, can you do, I think, can you remap? You can, anyway, save them separately and go ahead and do this. I don't remember if you can control a start and end frame. In any case, so this will be the method to do that. Pigeons and bats and, oh, by the way, the other day a bat went into our bedroom and my wife freaked. And of course, Super Dad went and fixed everything. It was very cute. We let it go. They eat mosquitoes, by the way, which is a very good thing. Okay, let's see what other question do we have. There's a question about the tracker. There are a lot of tutorials about tracking. I did one in the Olson University. That it's a complete series on camera tracking and object tracking and all that. If you are interested in tracking and you haven't watched that, shame on you. Okay, and let me see if we have any new questions here because I sort of veered off here. I looked away. Where's that? I'm just going to click on the C. I'm currently working on a project where I have an FK telescopic microphone stand. How do I properly draw the sticking part out? Can I use the length parameter and the bone to unfold one of the knees? I'm not sure I understand. Draw the sticking part out part. Send me a simplified file. That's in what you want to do, and make sure you watch the series I did on mechanical rigging. It has a ton of stuff on that. FK. Why would you use FK if it's a simple microphone stand? I don't understand. So anyway, send me a simplified scene, not just the components you want to put together and all that, and I'll take a look. Okay, let's check, Niels. I have some particles following a spline with a force field, but the faster particle, yeah, I replied to this. Sort of. If you watch the beginning, I read your question. If the speed is too much, you just have to find a way to create some sort of attraction force. And I'm showing some potential solutions, nothing perfect. But again, if you can send me a very simplified file and tell me how fast you want it to go and all that, I'll take another look at it. Yeah, birds are okay. Sharon, okay. I'm trying to post a link to an animation on YouTube, but it gets deleted. I have no idea. YouTube is beyond my knowledge level. Let's see. There's a suggestion, more substeps. I did put a lot of substeps. Maybe we need an enormous amount of substeps. Ahmed, it's a particle magic, if I'm not mistaken. Unless someone changed it and they didn't tell me. They don't always tell me things. Let me go to the banners and bring it up. This should be the password for the t-shirt, particle magic. I don't know. If they did change it, we'll get to you next month. Okay. It's not question. I'm trying to figure out this, but let me post a link. Yeah. So the link is not coming through. Just send me on Twitter if you don't mind. So we're right on the hour. I don't see any other questions here. There's some. Let me see. Let me see if any new questions came along. Body paint and stuff like that. Yeah, with we haven't done body paint since I did one for lynda.com nearly 10 years ago. Okay. I'm just reading through. Okay, let me copy this so I can read it better. I'm not sure I could answer it in our time frame here, but I'll try. It's not the full question. I want to create a spline rope dynamics there. Then want the extreme points to belts and clone this rig 100 times. My objective is to move the clone belt controllers by using effectors like paint effector and fields while keeping the physics simulation. Let me read this again. Right, my reading comprehension skills are not perfect. Let me turn this off. Okay. A spline, add rope dynamics to it. Okay, then I want to rig the extreme points with two belts. Okay. Rig what? You want to put two things on each, one on each side. Rig hundreds of sample, please. Yep, sample, so I understand what's going on. Now, let me see what I have here. All right, this is one. I'm just going to give it out there in terms of particles. I was watching some general particle videos from other software, and I thought, okay, what if we want our field force? So I have a field force here that has a connect object. Now, the connect object, what it's doing, I've got a sorting mode. These are different shapes. So we have this flower, this flower, this flower, and this flower. And I'm using sort to switch between them. And basically what happens is that the field goes through and changes, and let's turn off the plain morph here. I'm using the value of modify clone. I'm animating that. So this shape changes, right? That means that the cloner is exporting this as a single shape and changes over time. And I'm connecting this so it's a single spline. I'm using it in the field force, right? So it's in here. And then I'm emitting particles from the spline and adding some friction and turbulence and all that. And it's interesting how you can get nice choreographed particles just by switching your shapes. And this is not just unique to splines. You can do anything by feeding a field force and standard keyframes and all that nice stuff. So yeah, go test it. And let me go particles and set this to 8. See if we can avoid some of the banding. In any case, you can do nice choreographed stuff over here. Yeah, let me read a couple more questions, and then we're going to start the slow process of closing the showdown. Animation puzzles. Okay. There you go. Is it possible to change particle size with switch group? They should disappear over time, not kill. Yeah, you can make them. Anything you want to do over time, you would do it using a data mapper. Okay, so as far as I understood, here's a question. Let's get a basic emitter, right? And let's go to particle group and show the radius. And let's assume that our initial radius is 5 here. Okay, so this is our initial radius. Now, at a certain point, let's get a data mapper and use the age. And from 0, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say from 40 frames to 75 frames, I want to change the radius of the particles. And I'm going to make this, I'm going to reset it. So from minimum to maximum, and I'm going to make it from 5 to go to 0. And in range only. So it would only apply this from 40 to 75 and not before anything else. So what we should have is they should start getting smaller, and then there's 0. So 120 frame. Oh, come on. There you go. So that's how you would do it. And you can change this in terms of what time frame you want it to happen. Let's say from 90 to 110. So it's going to go whoop. And yeah, that's how you can do that. But the data mapper is what allows you to make things smaller. Yes. I hope that answers your question. Okay, let's see. Next one. Most of the Cinemaverse tutorials are very old now to follow the new update. C4D, just a request, possible, can you please update? Yeah, well, camera tracking is the same interface. I'm not going to do that. That's a huge tutorial. Everything is irrelevant. Uh, Body paint, the same thing. Nothing has changed in body paint other than the colors of the icons. So it will be a huge waste of resources if we did that and spent a few months recreating those. And yeah, I apologize, but it's a matter of resources. We have so much stuff to do. Yep, I'm expecting your question on Twitter. And I think we've run out of questions. We ran out of questions. And on that note, I'm going to wait. Maybe a question pops up, doesn't. And we've overrun only by 6 minutes. Not bad. So I hope you had a good fix of knowledge and education that you feel empowered and inspired to do something with Cinema 4D. Keep sending your questions to. Do I do a reverse housekeeping? Maybe some stuff. Let me just bring up the magic page here because this is the important thing. And full screen. There you go. Just make sure you go to here, ask your question. I'm just going to post this one more time. There you go. And you'll see this page. You can ask your questions. And don't forget, if you don't want to type or copy and paste, there's an easier way. Go find your phone. You just find that. It's not a banner. There you go. Go find your phone and run an app and click a button, or you can copy and paste, but it doesn't make a difference. And take this QR code and do whatever you want with it. Okay. Let me. I'm getting a bit confused now. There we go. Last question. Just going to put it up. Please build a transform tool like Michael Welter did as a plugin. I will definitely not do that. You know why? Because I can't. On another note, if you do have requests or want to tell Max on anything, just contact support. There are quite a few feedback forms, even from within Cinema 4D. I want to thank you all again for being part of our little bi-weekly gathering. And yeah, hit me on socials and show me all the good stuff you're working on. And I think that's it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming here. Now I'm going to pretend very quickly to go and put the closing videos and all that kind of stuff. Oh, my Lord. There we go. I think I'm looking for the end thing. Oh, it's got a QR code. Bye-bye, everyone.